The importance of spiritual community. Rule 9. Guidelines for traveling the spiritual path according to the teachings of Alice Bailey. Video by Dr. Lisa Love. Group 7. Probationary Disciple. This is the 9th of 14 rules found in the Alice Bailey book, Initiation Human and Solar, that those who are connected to Bailey's Group 7 probationary discipleship stage are meant to follow. These rules are only recommendations, but if followed, they will help you along the spiritual path to have fewer difficulties as you progress. Remember, it is important as much as possible to not skip steps and to do the inner work to make sure you are walking the talk. Rule 9. Let the disciple merge himself within the circle of his other selves, but let one color blend them and their unity appear. Only when the group is known and sensed can energy be wisely emanated. And if you haven't seen it in the previous videos I've done on the rules, a reminder that these rules and these books were written in the early 1900s, and everybody everywhere in all literature used the male pronoun, so don't let that trip you up here. Commentary from Initiation Human and Solar, pages 202 to 203. One thing all disciples and applicants for initiation have to do is to find that particular group of servers to which they belong on the inner plane, to recognize them upon the physical plane, and to unite with them in service for the race. This recognition will be based upon unity of aim, oneness of vibration, identity and group affiliation, karmic links of long standing, ability to work in harmonious relation. Superficially, this may appear to be one of the easiest of the rules, but in practice it is not so. Mistakes are easily made, and the problem of working harmoniously in group alignment is not so simple as it may appear. Egoic vibration and relationship may exist, and to let you know, here that word egoic means soul. The word ego did not mean selfish as it means now. An egotistical person now means selfish. An egotistical person back then would be somebody who was filled with ego or soul. So egoic vibration and relationship may exist, yet the outer personalities may not harmonize. It is the work, then, of the applicant to strengthen the grip of his ego or soul upon his or her personality so that the esoteric group relationship may become possible upon the physical plane. He or she will do this by the disciplining of his or her own personality and not by the correction of his brothers or sisters. So, that is the commentary on the rule. Let's get some additional explanation. And we'll focus on things like to find that particular group of servers to which they belong on the inner plane, and the necessity to not just make it an inner plane awareness, but to find these people on the outer plane, to unite with them in service for the race. Some of that is going to be for the purpose of getting together with a group to help you with your own soul development, but ultimately when that group reaches a high stage, it will be service to the race. And it's going to be done through these 5 things which have been mentioned, which I'll talk about again momentarily. Again, when a group comes together, they're not perfect. The outer personalities may not harmonize. There may be some soul link, some soul expression, but often, especially at this stage of probationary disciple, of the first initiation that's being taken, there's personality difficulties that can disrupt a group. And that's why we're told that we need to focus on strengthening our own personality and not try to correct our brothers or sisters so much as do our own work. So now we'll move on to my written commentary. One of the essential things the Group 7 probationary disciple must learn is that he does not walk on the spiritual path alone. And that's really tricky because the probationer disciple is pretty much doing individual spiritual work or trying to lead a group, but doing it very prematurely to try and be the leader of a group, and in that way walking the spiritual path alone, in that I'm the only one who knows anything, I'm the only leader. And because the probationary disciple is on the cutting edge of human evolution, it is easy to feel as if there are no others out there who share the beliefs and experiences the probationer does. To cope with the isolation, the probationer may select several maladaptive behaviors and beliefs that can set the probationer back. One maladaptive behavior is to overemphasize how unique he or she is. So that uniqueness, for example, as I said, can make you set yourself up as a spiritual leader prematurely. You think you're the only one. You think there's no other spiritual leaders out there that are equivalent to you or that you need to learn how to get along with. There's no other spiritual groups as good as your spiritual group. These are major difficulties that happen at this stage. They're natural to happen at this stage. It's one of the maladaptive behaviors. Another one is to think that you're very special, very odd or different, and so you kind of sit in your own bubble and fail to connect with other groups out there. That's another typical difficulty that probationers will move into. And in a way, I can't blame them, especially if you're in the West. You tend to live in a society that if you're having some of the experiences that a probationer disciple has, that society may pathologize you. And so that may increase your feeling that you need to stay isolated. Another thing that can happen then is because you are isolating yourself and not getting out there enough to see who else is out there like you, the different kinds of teachers and teachings that exist, you may start to connect only to those on the inner plane. Maybe you get into channeling and start to think how special you are because of the link that you have. You're not able to discern who or what you're really channeling. Is that information really of value or not? It may actually be at a kind of kindergarten level of spirituality and not an advanced level of spirituality if you really were getting out there and seeing who all is out there and what groups are all out there. That's another maladaptive behavior. There are many others that are emphasized, especially in the Alice Bailey books. But we are told that in reality, and this was all the way back in the early 1900s, there are millions of people waking up and taking the first initiation. Now, in a world of nearly 8 billion people, a few million scattered across the globe can seem like a very large minority. But in our age of travel and technology, it is possible to find others who have had similar experiences and are at the similar stage or even beyond that the probationer is in. The feelings of being isolated are unique, then they're a glamour or a distortion of the truth. There are other people out there who resonate with the probationary disciple who must make a concerted effort to find like-minded and hearted souls and learn to relate to them in a harmonious way. So if you are on a spiritual path and you are not looking to find a group or figuring out how to work with a group, chances are you're a probationary disciple or still working through that stage. So as Bailey's commentary suggests, many mistakes will be made, however, until the right group is found that has the requirements for group work that this rule states need to be in place. So maybe you've had that experience. You've joined different groups and you were really enthusiastic and you really thought that they would work out and they blew up for some reason. Well, you can go through the 5 different things stated in this rule and analyze what happened to that group, and it will really reveal a lot to you. So let's start with unity of aim. Typically, that's going to include a desire to be on a spiritual path and to do some spiritual work together. Just about every spiritual group, if not all of them, will have that. Maybe they'll be a little bit more agnostic or even atheistic, but they'll act according to spiritual principles and values, and so they will get some specific service activity done that is spiritual in expression. But for the majority of people, they'll be conscious that they're trying to be on a spiritual path and come together to achieve some sort of spiritual service activity. As for oneness of vibration, that does not mean that everybody has to be at the same stage spiritually. Now, there can't be too great a gap. You can't have people that are very, very selfish and have no desire to become spiritual in with a spiritual group. All that person will do is sabotage it and blow it up. And you can't have people that are so much at the kindergarten level of spirituality that they're in with college level spiritual students. That's just going to create too much difficulty as well. It's important to have a close enough similarity of vibration. But it does mean that the group is working to attain a similar spiritual vibration that allows the group to go forward and accomplish its work. So maybe you're all in high school together, or you're all in a bachelor's degree together, but some of you are in the 10th grade and the 12th grade in high school, and some of you are in the 2nd and 4th year in college. There has to be enough similarity of vibration. But some people are going to have to be committed to work a little harder to catch up to the others. So those in the 2nd year of college are going to have to speed up a little bit. And those in the 4th year of college are going to maybe have to delay their graduation a little bit so that the group can go forward and accomplish its work. But the group has to be committed enough to the service activity they're trying to achieve in the world, and able enough to slow down or speed up that work can be accomplished. And that work will be along different lines. So in the Bailey system, they have 7 ray types. So ray 1 would be maybe doing service along the lines of politics. Ray 2 along the lines of education. 3 maybe along business or finance. 4 along the arts or diplomacy. 5 along science or technology. 6 along religion or creating ideals that people can unite under. And ray 7 doing some sort of ceremonial work like the Olympics, for example, or helping organizations to be more effective. So now let's move to identity and group affiliation, and typically that means there's a resonance with a certain teacher, teaching, or service activity. And you'll run into groups and people will resonate at first and then they won't. Or you yourself will say, this just isn't what it is for me. That's part of the little cheliship stage, which includes the aspirant and the probationer disciple in the Bailey books. It's said to be one of the most difficult stages to be in because it can be so erratic and sporadic. People are typically having trouble deciding which teaching or teacher or service activity they really want to commit to. And a little bit of that smorgasbord is natural and to be anticipated, but eventually you have to settle down, and that's what this rule is indicating. As for karmic links of long standing, this implies that the various people who come together in a group have often been together before, either in a previous life, or have built up a strong bond throughout this life and have built good or bad karma, depending on how well they've interacted in a spiritual way with each other. And that's an interesting thing to do. You can do some of that in the meditation I've created for you that goes along with this video, where you study what kind of good karma brought these people together, what kind of bad or difficult karma came in that they had to resolve. And that's an interesting analysis and meditation to undergo. Also, regarding the ability to work in a harmonious relation, this is often one of the most difficult things for the group to achieve. Why? Because especially at the aspirant or probationer discipleship stage, group 6 aspirant, group 7 probationer disciple, both are little cheliship in the Bailey teachings. We still have a lot of selfish personality, what they would call lower ego today, driving us. We're still motivated about wanting to be a spiritual somebody or wanting to be recognized, or we still don't have enough discipline over our emotions, so we emotionally trigger off and react in a group, or we don't have enough physical discipline, so we don't have enough money to help us stay in the group or manage being in the group or manage our lives so we don't drag down the group, or we don't have enough discipline over our thoughts so that we're not interjecting our thoughts constantly into the group, or we're so timid we're afraid to interject our thoughts. You can kind of see the mixture here that goes on, especially in groups that are at the level of the first initiation. There's a lot of work that they have to do to learn how to get along harmoniously. Some people's ambition can drive the group too fast, too far, and burn everybody else, and that person doesn't see how they're not accomplishing the work that needs to be done in the group because of their ambition is sabotaging everything. They may be so spiritually arrogant they don't even recognize it. Other people in the group may not have the ability to slow down some of these more ambitious members and get them to acknowledge that they're not being driven by the soul or the higher capital ego. They're being driven by desires that are sabotaging the aim that the group is trying to achieve. And so it's the responsibility of those other members to do the work that they need to do on themselves so that they can manage and feel confident enough to, in a good way, soulful way, confront that member and say, listen, we're trying to achieve something here, and what's going on in the way that you're working in the group is not helping us achieve it. So you can already see how very, very tricky and difficult all of this can become. So as you can see, anyone who has attempted to do group work knows how difficult it can be to get people's personalities to harmonize. At the soul, if they were all soulfully infused, they would just get along fabulously. But because they're not yet there, those personality difficulties get in the way. The personality tendencies, different desires of what you want the group to do or what role you think different people should be in, different preferences. I want the group to do this or that, different emotional reactions and triggers, different ideas that you hang on to too strongly. All of these can clash and sabotage the group from achieving its aim. And we are told in the Bailey books that selfish motivations and emotional reactions are still likely to upset group work until the group reaches the third initiation. So if we have a group at the first initiation, we can almost anticipate that the group work is going to blow up somewhere here or there. At the second initiation of accepted disciples in the Bailey teachings, the group is learning to manage themselves and their minds and their thoughts and their desires and their triggers and their ability to be stable in the world financially. They're better able to manage that so that they're much more likely to accomplish things. But still, even a group at the second initiation is going to have a tendency to be tempted and possibly blow up the aims that they're trying to accomplish. Only when the group reaches the third initiation, and that's very, very rare, will we find a group truly able to achieve something of soul value in the world in a momentous way. Regardless, it is important to remove the notion that truly changing the planet and the lives of those within it for the better is an individual task. The Group 6 materialist believes I alone can fix it, kind of a thing. The Group 6 aspirant still thinks I alone can fix it, but it's spiritually what I'm meant to do. So, I'm spiritually anointed. So what are you going to do? Argue with me? And a lot of problems can happen on the planet with the Group 6 materialist and aspirant. And the aspirant is going to be even less likely to realize it or claim it than the Group 6 materialist will be, because they believe in that spiritually anointed kind of thing. The thing is, the group 6 type of person is very much invested in having an individual at the top. Their idea of hierarchy is top down and not valuing what anybody below has to say. It's very authoritarian. And in fact, the Alice Bailey books say that the age of the group 6 dictator is one that we're just moving into more and more, and we have to be aware of it. Most people are groups 4 and 5, some group 3. Group 6 is emerging at this time, and that's why we need to get more and more group 7, especially group 8, accepted disciples, second initiation, group 9, third initiation, people into the planet to help mitigate the negative and potentially very destructive effects that the group 6 materialist and even the group 6 aspirant can have on our planet. So it's very important for the first initiate, probationary disciple person to wake up and see, I have to give up the idea that I can do this alone. I have to learn how to find my group and work with my group. Group work is necessary, and that is what the probationary disciple slowly learns. Finally, as a reminder, Bailey again uses the word ego as synonymous with the word soul. So when she says the ego is getting a grip on the personality, it means the soul qualities such as love, wisdom, discernment, compassion are guiding the personalities of those in the group, which enables them to function better in service to each other and to the larger world. So maybe it's important to hang on to the goal that we're trying to achieve in politics, education, business, and arts, and so forth. But it's also very important for the group to keep an eye on, are we developing soul qualities in this group as we practice with one another? Are we learning to love each other, not in an emotionally sentimental way, but in a truly loving, wise, discerning way? Do we have discernment as to what truth is in our group, in our task, in the world? Are we compassionate with each other, not in a way that lets each other off the hook if we've made mistakes and we have problems we need to correct, but knows how to understand why perhaps a certain person has been led astray? And are we open, if we're that person that's been led astray, to no longer being led astray into doing our work? There's many other soul qualities. There's a book in the Alice Bailey teachings called Soul, a compilation. I recommend to you if you want to learn more about those. So there you have it, a basic understanding of Rule 9. I hope it's very useful to you, and if you are enjoying what I'm doing, then help us write more books and do more videos. I'd like to employ other people even at some point to do this, so I'm not simply a solitary project with this. But right now I do this mainly for free, but you can help me not do it for free and help me do it more full time by becoming a patron at patreon.com, Soul to Spirit. You can also visit the website for more info. Enjoy this YouTube channel. Subscribe, like, comment, and share. I like to give credits where they're due. This video was created and narrated by me, Dr. Lisa Love. The Pure of Heart music was licensed for use from royalty-free-meditationmusic.com. Photos were purchased from 123rf.com. Thanks for watching.